Hello, everyone.
What's up? I got my
Gone.
computer in do not disturb mode. Here
Oh, good call.
we go. Inevitably, somebody will call.
Indubitably, indubitably.
Indubitably. I'm gonna undo that from my phone just because just in case Aaron reaches out
Okay, good idea.
before they'll be on their way home in about 2 hours.
Sweet. All right.
But sometimes she'll be like, "Do you need anything from the grocery store?"
Yes. Yes.
You know what
A
I mean?
6-pack of Yoo-Hoos, please.
Oh, dude, I still have five from the 6 pack.
I know. That's why I
Or
said it.
no,
I was like, I'm positive you guys haven't been downing those.
Nope. It's a 4 pack, actually. I think it comes as a 4 pack.
Okay, got it.
And we still have 11 Peepsies.
Just keep
I
them
don't.
and sell them on eBay later.
Mm,
Or not. I don't know. Or
sure.
drink them. Okay.
I mean,
All
I probably won't. I'll probably just throw them away at some point. Sorry, everybody. Look at these new ones we got.
right. Ooh. Wow. I didn't even know about those. Those are
Cool, right?
cute. Yeah.
They're so cute.
Like big heads, is that what they call them? The big
Yeah.
head Legos?
Yeah. They're so cute.
Very cute. Sweet.
Two buddies. And this guy, of course.
Ooh, I haven't seen that guy. Very cool.
That was from Josh, I believe,
Oh, gotcha. For
at the
Christmas?
Christmas party. Yep.
That's really awesome. Okay, I'm ready. I've
All right,
got
let's
the
do it.
I've got the cold open. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, click. Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Shoot, I forgot to say clap. Should we do it again?
That's okay, fine. No problem.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
Okay.
Helps more with guests.
Yeah, you're right. That's why we did it. Okay. It's been common practice in Hollywood for decades to adapt movies into television shows. Many of these crossovers are middling at best, lasting a season or two before losing steam. Remember 2015's 12 Monkeys show? Yeah, me neither. Plus, since the dawn of streaming, many efforts in this arena get swallowed up by the sheer volume of what's on offer. I was excited about the League of Their Own show, but it's been out for 9 months, and there it is, gathering dust in my Amazon Prime queue. 1997's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oops. Let me add that so I can do it right. 1997's Buffy the Vampire Slayer series was the rare show that was both a huge success and cultural phenomenon. So much so that even loyal viewers are surprised to hear that it was once a movie at all. Going the opposite way, from a TV show to a movie, can be even trickier. 21 Jump Street was okay. The X-Files wasn't even that. Charlie's Angels, more like Charlie's Devils, because those movies are bad. And the first time a certain 1960s sci-fi show decided to stick the motion picture after its name, it didn't quite connect with movie-going audiences. But the sequel, oh, the sequel. Not only did it turn into box office gold by altering its tone, pace, and focus from the first, it also solidified its brand into one of the most popular in the American entertainment industry to this day, all thanks to nailing that TV to movie transition. Buffy, eat your heart out. We're the two Gomers. We're talking Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and this is Perfect Movie.
Welcome, everybody, to Perfect Movie, a podcast where two regular guys try to save the universe one great film at a time. This is Anthony speaking, one of those two aforementioned Gomers, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, with my friend Steven, all the way out in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Khan! Now, I have to, sometimes I have to do this. I have to start with a series of apologies at the beginning of this
Okay,
episode. Is that all right?
sure.
Okay. First of all, This is perfect movie. I could just do the rules right now. We pick a movie
Yeah.
and we try to decide if it's perfect. We love the movie. And the conceit is that each season we send it to an evil alien.
Right.
Oh no. And I
Uh-oh.
pushed for Khan
Mm-hmm.
this season. Then I'm rewatching Star Trek, the masterpiece, Star Trek
Mm-hmm.
II, The Wrath of Khan,
The
1982.
the other original partner. It's it's
Yep.
two. There's two partners, right? Hunt for Red October and this, and we're going to talk about how they're related later.
So this is the final episode of Perfect Movie because we have completed our our
Yep.
goal of getting the partners out there. No, but so I'm watching this movie and I'm like, no, he's not an alien at all.
Mm.
I was
I
confused.
well, I as like a Trekkie should have thought of that. I didn't even think of it, dude.
Well, it is a little confusing, and so maybe the listening audience, will give me some grace on this. Okay, you wanted Borg, which actually that is a true non-Earth be like killer be. I mean, that is
Yeah,
so good. The Borg. We have to come back to that.
second best rival or
Yeah.
bad guy in Star Trek, the Borg after Khan, or maybe both of those two. I don't know.
So maybe I had just con blindness because he's such a, and we'll get back to this in the evidences, but
Yeah,
I forgot that he is a genetically engineered human
right.
from, wait, what is it,
From
1996?
1996, dude. Which is funny because Aaron and I were watching it
Yeah.
and I had forgot. She was like, "Wait, this movie came out." So that was only 14 years in the future of when this movie came out.
I know.
But then I was able to come back at that because it's a brilliant point. Like, as
Hmm.
if we had spaceships to launch in 96.
Right.
Because the Botany Bay that he gets launched out on, they launched because he was a bad guy that controlled a quarter of the population of the world.
Right.
And we didn't have that kind of technology. But what I
Uh-huh.
was able to come back with, or not come back at, but just nerd out for a second, was that they wrote this in the 1960s. So
Right. That's a
96,
good call. Oh, yeah.
like
Really smart. Yep.
96 would have been like 30 years into the future when Star Trek, the original series, when this episode came out.
So that would be like us guessing 2053
Yes.
what's going to be like then. And I mean, maybe we'll finally get hoverboards, but
Flying
you
cars,
right, exactly.
dehydrated
Dehydrated
pizza.
pizzas. Oh, jinx.
Dang
Um,
it.
you owe me a Peeps Pepsi. So that's the first thing I need to apologize. I'm not going to, we're not going to change, of course, what we're
no,
doing
no, it's
this
too
season.
good. Yeah.
But I am sorry to you, Ricardo Montalban and Benedict Cumberbatch, I guess, also, because I forgot that you're not aliens. You are genetically engineered Earthlings.
Mm.
That are
Okay, so
bad.
then,
They're evil, though. I mean, this Khan is
oh,
bad news.
so bad. So I went back to watch the episode.
Okay.
It's like
Oh,
episode
oh man, I
26
really
or
wish I'd done
27.
that.
You should
Okay.
watch it before the results show.
Okay. All right. Good call.
It's called Space Seed.
Is it now?
And it's
I thought,
trippy to watch.
okay. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's like you can't have all of this without that.
Yeah.
But when you go back from like partner to the Rathacon, also I think it's a con, not of con.
Right. Sure. The
So it's
Wrathacon.
Rathacon. Yeah.
Is that an
Uh
O with an apostrophe?
ooh,
Wrathocon.
Rathacon. Rathacon? No, that's eh. I don't know.
What's that upside down E? I can't remember the name of that right
Yeah.
now. Rathacon.
Rathacon.
Hardly say it. Rathacon.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
But I mean, it's super dated. I
Yeah.
mean, the fighting is hilarious. I mean,
Mhm.
there's an actual fight, with
Oh, okay.
Kirk and Khan. which
Yeah, and so those like Star Trek TV show fights are like
yeah.
endlessly mocked.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's all the 60s though, all those kind of things. And
Right. Yep.
pretty low budget. They're making these
Mm-hmm.
every week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you get to storyboard and previs and make cool props that you just have to build stuff out of like what's on the lot
Right.
like that day.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have
So,
a very specific question about the show because I think maybe I've seen one like Next Generation is a blind spot for me. We're taking care of that next month.
yep. Yep.
But the original series, I don't think I've ever seen an episode. And
Oh,
so when I love this movie and I love the Star Trek movies and the cold
yep.
open was all about TV to movies. I have a specific question for you about the TV series and that episode. I will punt into
Okay.
the um into the main, what do we call it? The trial.
Yep.
Because I do see a huge difference between the sequel and the motion picture that I'm using as an evidence. And so I'm wondering
Absolutely.
if
Okay.
there is that in the show. Okay, that's my first apology. He's not an alien. My second apology
Okay.
is because I've been yelling Khan a lot
Mm.
this season.
Mm-hmm.
I probably yell Khan during every main episode of Perfect Movie and also every result show because it's fun. And
Yep.
I've been yelling it like Khan like
Yep.
long
Yep.
and also like clear. And that is not how Captain James Tiberius Kirk yells Khan.
Yep.
And the minute I saw it, I was like, "Oh boy, I've been doing that badly." Then I was looking up YouTube videos so that I could listen to it over and over again because it's really good.
It is. It is really good. Yeah.
And so I actually want to play it for you in just a second. I think I know
Okay.
why my confusion has happened. It's because it's been speaking of endlessly mocked. There is so much since then where people copy the Khan yell
Yeah.
and they do it all wrong. And so
Right.
even in the kind of pseudo remake, uh, when Spock yells Khan in Into Darkness,
Yeah.
he does not do it the way that Kirk yells Khan in this.
Sure. Okay.
It's
I mean,
more like, oh, and I'll tell you why another thing I was confused about it because I've been yelling it like Vader yells, no, like
yeah.
I'm kind of, I've been confused by that too. That's
No.
much more kind of
Padme.
clear and long. And this one is,
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can do it. He's like, gone, gone, like that.
It's like Khan.
Well, I'm going to play it for you because I noticed something else about it that blew
Okay.
my friggin' mind. So I'm going to
Sweet.
play it for you. Can you hear
Buried alive. Yep.
it? That's Ricard. That's Khan screaming about husband. So, do you hear the score behind it?
Yeah. C flat.
It's
La.
matching his yell. Khan.
Yes. Totally. It's a B flat A, I think. B
I
flat
gotta
A.
listen to it again. It's. I was like, wow. Especially when he repeats.
B flat A.
Khan. So it's no like Luke, Luke, Luke.
Luke,
That you blew my mind with.
Luke. Yep.
Right. But I was like, I need to do the yell right because it's very specific what they're doing in that part.
Yeah. Oh, James Horner for the win there, dude.
The
That is-
score is so good.
Yeah. James Horner. Okay, so little behind the scenes on the score.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second movie he ever did. He was 28 years old.
I almost fainted. I can't believe this. 28 years old, and he came up with a Khan. Khan.
It's like opera, dude. It's like
it's a work of mastery. This thing is amazing.
I know.
28?
Yeah.
Wow. Is James Horner still with us?
No, so he died in a
No.
plane crash in
Oh
2015.
no.
Do you remember this? So,
I'm sure you've told me this before, but it's
well, we
I'm saddened anew here. That's so
yeah.
sad.
I mean, we talked about it way back then, but he was a like a pilot, as most, not most, as so many like rich Hollywood types are,
Right, yeah,
like,
this is like right, Harrison Ford just decides he wants to fly a plane
oh
around, that
yeah,
kind of thing.
John Travolta,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Tom Cruise.
Well, yeah. And Tom Cruise isn't satisfied with that. He's in the plane, then he gets out of it and jumps off or something.
Yeah.
Like jumps a motorcycle onto it and off of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, he
Wow, yeah.
was out flying
Oh no.
and got in a wreck.
Oh.
Um, I heard this interview with James Cameron
Uh-huh.
talking about him because he was James Cameron's dude. So like, it's super interesting.
James
Star
Horner
Trek
is
1,
Titanic?
yeah, he did Titanic.
Oh wow.
Um, he did tons of stuff. He did Aliens.
Love it.
So here's some interesting factoids. A couple other quick factoids because I did do a James Horner deep dive
Okay.
because his music is amazing. I mean, he's the one that did like Beautiful Mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did one of my favorites, Perfect Storm. I
Those
think he
those
did.
scores also become like trailer scores,
Oh yeah,
like Beautiful Mind scores in so many
yep,
trailers.
totally.
Yeah.
He did no, not Day After Tomorrow. Deep Impact.
Okay. One
He's
of your
kind of like
faves.
that one that has that. He always has this like chord, just like
Mm-hmm.
this plonk. Like every one of his movies. Not actually, that doesn't occur in this movie. He hasn't quite come up with that one yet.
Okay.
But the big, oh, he did um another partner in the James Ryan or Ryan series.
Oh, Patriot
Uh nope.
or Some
The
of All
one,
Fears.
yeah, partner.
Okay.
Some of
Yep.
all. Sorry. And
Is that the
but
one with
he
the
was
McDonald's wrapper that we love so much?
some of all McDonald's rapper.
You remember there's that scene where the guys are sneaking up on
Yeah.
somebody and he eats that
Oh,
cheeseburger or something.
nope, that was Patriot Games, maybe.
Patriot Games, not the
He's eating.
Patriot. That's Mel Gibson. Patriot Games. You're right. It is
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Um.
Wouldn't be
Anyways,
surprised if James Horner did the Patriot also. He's just kind of
mm,
that like from the 80s into the
yeah.
2000s, just omnipresent
Oh, just so good.
orchestrator and scorer and oh man, composer. So good.
Yep. But I guess he was dating Jerry Goldsmith's daughter,
Ooh, hubba hubba.
and I think
I love
so.
this tea you're spilling.
Goldsmith
Yeah.
did um the first Star Trek,
Okay. So
and
a little
because
bit of a nepo baby we've got going
there's
on, right?
total nepotism. He also did Alien. And then who does the
Oh,
sequels? Aliens, Horner, Star Trek 2, Horner.
wow. I love this. And both space movies.
Yep, and James Cameron,
Mm-hmm.
the first one, and then Cameron becomes, Horner does a bunch of his stuff, including Titanic.
Right. Huge. Got to be his
But
biggest
this,
movie.
yeah. So there's a movie. I listened to the score the other day. One of Cameron's first ones, something about aliens, not aliens. Sorry, like
Mm.
deep. Let me look up my YouTube search history.
Okay. While you do that, I think
And
I've asked you
it'll
this
be
question before, but do you think a composer gets residuals? Like, could James Horner
mm,
just have lived off of Titanic comfortably
that's
for the rest of his life?
probably here. Listen to this main title. It's called Battle Beyond the Stars.
Let's do it.
Sorry, there's an ad.
I was like, okay, that doesn't sound like James Horner.
So this is the movie that he and James Cameron did before Star Trek.
Right. I think we've talked about this movie before.
So you can hear.
Sounds like Alien.
Yeah, that's total Alien, like Jerry Goldsmithy, right?
Yep.
But then, hold
Mhm.
on. That's Star Trek 2, dude.
Star Trek 2.
Right?
Yep.
You can totally hear that.
Ah,
Right?
I love it.
It's just missing the the Star Trek theme.
It should have come in right there. The Star Trek
Right.
theme.
So you
Yeah.
see, this is like, yeah. So that, I mean, dude, I was listening to that score and I was like, this is Star Trek 2 before Star Trek 2. But it's the thing that we talked about way back when J.J.
Mhm.
Abrams took over Star Trek. And it's
Mhm.
like, you don't have to make up a new spaceship. Now you get to play with the Enterprise.
Yes.
Like when somebody signs up to do a Harry Potter
Mhm.
or a Star Trek
Mhm.
or, a Star Wars universe sort of thing, and
Yep.
you get to play in that sandbox with those toys.
It's like an established universe. And sometimes it does work and sometimes it doesn't. In
Right.
this case it is they've elevated.
Mm,
Like, you never, I'm sure if I were to watch this, and I will, that episode of Khan from the original series,
yeah.
to imagine that it could look or sound
Mm,
anything like this.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it gives me goosebumps to think about that
Yeah.
transition.
For sure. So you're
Woo.
gonna laugh when you watch the show,
Oh, I
and
can't
you'll
wait.
like it, and it'll like fill in some of the cracks
Mm-hmm.
to what this movie. Also, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not sure why Khan's so mad. Like when you watch it, you'll understand that. Like I don't know. I don't
I
know.
see. Yeah.
So
They explain it. They do a pretty good job of giving you a little bit of I mean, there's some info dumps that really work in this movie where it's just like, we need to catch you up with what's
yes.
going on. But I'm sure it will flesh it out a lot when I watch 1960s version.
Well, I mean, Kirk is sort of merciful and lets him have a planet of his own. So he could have just sent him to jail.
But this guy, he can't forgive. He's got such a grudge because it turns out that another the planet that was close to them exploded.
Yeah,
You're
but
right.
that's
That's
not
not
Kirk.
Captain Kirk's right.
That's not Kirk's fault, dude. Like that's what I was thinking. Is like I mean I'm acting as if I knew all this. I just watched Space Seed for the first time this week. I've never seen it.
Well, I can't wait to watch Space Seed.
Space Seed.
Oh, okay. Let's. I mean, I want to talk about all that because I think that that's good. Oh, okay, shoot, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do the one
Okay.
sheet.
Okay. Oh, great. This we'll be able to plow through this one quick.
Right.
Um, I just have to say at the top of this, before we go into the one sheet, I love Star Trek. This is our first Star Trek.
And
This is
I
it.
should also say that because we realize that it's our first Star Trek, we're actually going to press into Star Trek quite a bit the next 2 months and over the
Yeah.
summer, where
Mhm.
Anthony, you are going to take on the docent cap.
Yes. Yep.
I took you through the Marvel universe a couple years ago. I
Mhm.
have, like I aforementioned, blind spot with Star Trek TV.
Right.
And it is going to be Steven's tour through the next generation, led by docent Tony G.
Sweet. I'm a little worried that you're going to find it boring.
Well,
But
that's okay. I was terrified when I was the docent
okay, well,
bringing you through Marvel.
now we're into it. Now we're into it. We watched
Yep.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, had an absolute blast. Cannot wait for 3.
Yep. Gonna be so
Cannot
great.
wait. And that, you know what? It helps to have kids.
Yeah.
Now I have kids
At
that
that
are
age.
into it.
Yep.
And Disney
Huge.
World also. Like,
I was gonna say it's probably ride related.
yep. The fact that Guardians of the Galaxy is maybe the best minute of our lives so far, that ride. Like for us four, that might be the best minute of our lives together. I don't know. It's close. Like top 10
I
minutes.
love that you're saying that.
Like, I mean, the song that played was September, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our song. And then the second song, I can't remember right now, but I cry every time I hear September now, and I will forever. like
It's there.
we
It's
were
cemented now.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be, that might be a little bit hard to match, but I really like Star Trek.
I know. It's so I'm not saying this because you're not a cerebral intellectual dude. You are, but it's also just kind of boring. It's not a lot of action.
Okay,
It's a
that's
lot of
fine.
story.
I love boring crap. I love a lot of boring crap.
Okay.
I'm into it.
I love Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
Well, I'm a Next Generation guy over, or original series,
I'm
like
looking forward
1,000%.
to having a connection point
Okay.
um around this. And so at the very least, the huge benefit of it will be that I can finally say that I know what you're talking about sometimes when you
Okay.
reference it.
Okay.
Just
I
like
mean, the
you are going
characters.
to soon be able to understand my Hunger Games jokes because
Oh yeah.
Lily is
Yep.
watching Hunger Games, and I've been
Yep.
telling Hunger Game jokes forever on the podcast, and you
Yeah.
fake laugh and don't know what I'm talking about.
No clue.
It's the same kind of thing. I can't wait to have this additional common reference point.
Okay, good. And Stephen King.
Yes, that's
I
right.
am in like Dead Zone,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Just absolutely loving it. Okay. So that just needed to be put at the top.
Yep.
Also, that Star Trek is like my family's, like it's my growing up
Mm.
show.
Okay. Good to know.
Like
Yep.
it is my dad, my mom, me, and Mia.
Mm.
This is it. Like
Wow.
on the couch watching these Next Generation, watching these movies.
Yep.
I'm in my finished basement before it
Mm-hmm.
flooded.
Before we put the hot tub down there.
No. Oh, dude. Okay, there's a room in heaven. Okay, and it's a remake of our finished basement for 2 years.
Okay.
Like it's that shalom you think of your childhood before you're like before you become an adult and
Yep.
you realize life is hard and
Mm-hmm.
families fall apart.
Yeah.
So but that basement for
Mm-hmm.
like 2 years, futons. Me
Yep.
and my dad put up all the stud walls. We hung the ceiling. We built a custom redwood deck,
Uh-huh.
bathroom. Everything was triangles. Like,
The
and
decor
then
was triangles.
carpet, 5.1 surround, and then this VHS collection from Sam's Club. Like
Wow.
Alex having sleepovers with Hayal and Chad,
Yep.
Pizza Hut pizza,
Mm.
Partner to the Wrath of Khan, Star Trek: The Next Generation with Stephen Nichols.
Mm.
These are like pre-Gomer 2, Gomer 1 days. Like you're
I
way
don't
older
think,
than me at this
to tell
point.
you the truth, this might shock you. Get ready for
Mm,
this. I don't think
mm.
I've ever been in that basement.
Wow. That is nuts.
So talk about pre-Gomer 2.
Uh-huh.
This was when the Gomers were acquaintances.
Yep. Yeah, there would have been no reason that you would have like we weren't that good of friends.
Uh-uh. No. Different
Like,
years in school. It didn't happen much
uh-huh.
in middle school where you would cross that line.
Yep, even early high school.
Yeah.
And by junior year when we were becoming better friends, like I probably didn't have people over that much. And then we were
Sure.
getting into girls and stuff.
Right. And we had kind of shifted the kind of where the gathering house was the Oasis
Yep.
and their basement.
Yep, those ham sandwiches and that frozen fruit salad.
The whimsical tea
Those
kettle, all
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that fruit salad was so cold you couldn't eat it. Do you remember that? Miss Otis would
Yeah,
get like
she
whip
loved
that.
that fruit salad cold.
Yeah, but like yeah, okay. We digress. I love Star Trek. This is making me
Uh-huh.
so happy. So thank
Okay,
you.
great. So let's go through the Gomer one sheet a little bit.
Okay. So Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan
Mm-hmm.
comes
The
out on
proper
June
name.
4th, 1982. Running time of 1 hour and 53. That is perfection.
I like it under that too. I love that
Yep.
running time.
With credits.
That puts it at like 148 probably. Wow.
Yep. Yep. Budget of $11 million. Now, I didn't look up the budget. Could you look, while I read this, could you look up Star Trek the Motion Picture budget?
Yep, good idea.
The gross at the box office, this was worldwide, but it was kind of similar. Like it was $79.8 million gross. This is actually the number 8 movie that year, according
Okay.
to Box Office Mojo, which that's incredible for a Star Trek movie. Like that is a hit.
Huh. Yeah. That's the box office, right? And I'm also trying to figure out it's double what the first one made.
Okay, what was the budget?
Budget
Or
was higher for the motion picture.
yeah, so
15 million.
15. Okay, that's not crazy, but this is 11, so it's quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah, but then it only made 35.
Yep. So it was a flop.
Yeah, I think
And
it was a disappointing flop. I'm surprised they got a sequel.
I know. So I know you're going to talk about that in the evidences. So I don't want to step on that for now, but sequel chat will rule. But
Yep.
it was a hit. It was
Mm-hmm.
a cultural phenomenon.
Yep.
It was a bop beat phenomenon.
It fully
People,
brought that from TV to movies,
yep.
and that's where it was going to be for a long time.
Yep. And it brought it to not just Star Trek fans.
There we go. You're right. It was accessible in a
Mm-hmm.
different way than that first one was.
Yep. Narrow is the gate into heaven, right? Wide is the gate into Star
Just
Trek
into Star
through
Trek.
Star Trek 2, not through Star Trek 1. That is
Do not enter through the narrow gate. Star Trek the motion
right.
picture. Enter through the wide gate.
Yeah.
Star Trek
And
2.
once you're into it, then go back and watch motion
Yeah,
picture because
you
I
can forgive a
actually
lot of Star Trek the motion picture once you have the love deep in your heart of Star Trek
yes.
that Star Trek 2 will give you.
Yep. I actually think Star Trek motion picture rules.
I haven't gone
But
back for
man,
like 5 or 6 years, so I need to go back again, I think.
I mean, we like our silence and solitude. We like our long, drawn out, slow stuff
I guess
as we get
I guess
older.
yeah, I think because 2001 does that so much better.
Yeah.
Star Trek the motion picture feels a little bit like a hey, like
Yeah.
2001 got away with what is it, 12 minutes of
Yeah.
just like trippy
Yeah.
oil in water or dropping
Yeah.
flashing things on a camera. We can do it too, and it just doesn't quite work the same for me in
Yeah,
the motion picture.
you're not talking about the same level of filmmaker as Stanley
No.
Kubrick.
Right.
No, you're right. I still like it though.
Okay, I'll have to go back.
Okay. So this was up for won 3 Saturn Awards, which we've talked is kind of like sci-fi, I guess.
Right,
Best
yep.
DVD collection. William Shatner won for Best Actor, and Nicholas Meyer, the director, won. Other movies released around the same time. This is bonkers, dude. I mean, this
can't
is
even
our
handle
year.
this.
E.T. This is in the top 8 box office. E.T., Raiders, and Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolute canon for us.
Heaven. I mean, wow. I don't even understand how that can happen in a year anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like nowadays you get like 1 home run, 2 maybe, that are
Yeah,
like, this is going to stand the test of time.
Yep.
I don't know if that happens like 1982 anymore.
Well, E.T. and Raiders and Tron was that same year. Blade Runner. These are all original stories.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they're not another comic book movie or another sequel.
Right.
Those are
Big
brand
difference.
new. Also from that year, Tootsie we've done on the podcast.
Chariots of Fire we've done on the podcast.
Oh, did I not say that? Oh yeah, Chariots of Fire. I mean, hello. You know when you see Chariots of Fire and then you see this, you actually can kind of tell that it was filmed in the same.
I agree. It's got that
year.
same sheen on it.
A sheen, a sound. You know.
How is Spielberg doing E.T. and Raiders? Is this right? He did E.T. and Raiders during the same year?
I mean, this is Box Office Mojo. So these were in the theater. Maybe they didn't come out in 82. Maybe one was 81. I think E.T. might have come out in 81.
He did do Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year. He does those kind of things.
That's crazy. You're right.
Wow.
Those were the top 2 box office of that year.
Right.
So whether they both came out in 82 or not.
Good point. Because movies lasted forever in the theaters back then too.
Yeah, that's true. Also, there was a re-release of Empire Strikes Back this year too. And then another one that we watched later, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right. There was still kind of that like raunchy. I don't know if Fast Times would be that, but like Porky's, wasn't that? Didn't you write that in here?
Yeah,
maybe I read
Porky's,
it wrong. Yeah,
what meatballs? Like
I don't think that's how it's pronounced, but meatballs.
But like these movies were like, it's like PG movies, and they're just college naked people, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Whoa, the movies back in the 80s.
It's the
Wow.
ones where now they would stamp, red unrated. You
Right.
know,
When it comes out on DVD, it says unrated,
yeah.
road trip unrated.
Totally, dude. Totally.
Oh,
Okay, a
that's funny.
couple other quick things. Rotten
Mhm.
Tomatoes, 86% critic, 90% audience.
It's good.
And
It's good.
yeah, last thing for the Gomer One Sheet so we can get in
Mm-hmm.
was there was one alternate cast choice for
Mm-hmm.
Savick, and that was Kim Cattrall.
Which she plays Mr. Savick, which I love. They call her Mr. Savick,
Yep.
sir.
Yeah.
In the third one, right?
No. So, I didn't write down her name, but Kirstie Alley. So I guess they wanted or something, Kim Cattrall, or maybe she was up for it,
Yeah.
or maybe they were both up for it. I don't know, but they
Oh,
went with
I'm
Kirstie Alley.
wrong. She's in 6. How
Yes.
could I?
Oh, that's okay. So they
Thanks for
recast.
forgiving me.
Oh, that's fine. I don't know if it was that Cheers took off or what,
Yeah.
or Look Who's Talking. Remember
Right.
that?
One of those. Speaking
And
of John
so,
Travolta flying around. Yeah.
oh yeah, but she didn't come back for the sequel, which is a bummer because I guess she was like a super Star Trek fan. But Kim
Oh.
Cattrall didn't want to do that. She didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be a recast.
Mm-hmm.
So in Star Trek 6, they're like, we're going to do another Vulcan,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be Savick. It's going to be another character. And she's like, sign me up.
Okay. That's great. When is Mannequin?
Dude,
You
I
would
mean,
know this, right? I mean, one of your favorite movies.
why did I go to my my aunt and uncle? I slept over at their house all the time, and for some reason, I watched like Meatballs, Mannequin. Like, this is messed up.
Because that's Kim Cattrall, isn't it? Wasn't
Yeah,
she
dude.
Mannequin?
She's a mannequin that comes to life.
There was also kind of that like young boys make a woman
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Weird
genre.
Science.
Weird Science and Mannequin.
Yeah, man. But Mannequin may have been my favorite movie when I was a kid.
That is insane. Okay, let me read the back of the box. All right. It says on the top, arch villain Khan returns to set a deadly trap for Kirk! Exclamation point.
Ooh.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. This is a great description, by the way. I don't want to
Oh.
talk it up too much, but I'm loving this.
Sweet.
It is the 23rd century. The Federation starship USS Enterprise. Trademark. There's a little trademark on it, which I like. Is on
Yeah.
routine training maneuvers, and Admiral James T. Kirk, William Shatner, seems resigned to the fact that this inspection may well be the last space mission of his career because he's so old, 50.
Yeah. Poor guy.
That's my commentary.
Yeah.
But Khan is back. Aided by his exiled band of genetic supermen, Khan, Ricardo Montalban, brilliant renegade of 20th century Earth, has raided Space Station Regula 1. I love the way that feels on my tongue. Stolen a top secret device called Project Genesis, wrestled control of another Federation starship, and now schemes to set a most deadly trap for his old enemy Kirk, with the threat of universal Armageddon! Exclamation point. Co-starring Kirstie Alley, in parentheses, Cheers.
Wait, she gets first billing?
In her stunning motion picture debut. It's the last sentence of this VHS copy. Co-starring Kirstie Alley, Cheers, in her stunning motion picture debut. That is the impact.
Huh. Wow.
The clout a Kirstie Alley holds.
Yep.
I'm wondering if she was a box office draw for this movie.
Oh, that's a great question.
When did Cheers premiere?
I don't know.
I don't think Cheers premiered until like 86.
I thought Cheers was like mid 80s. Like this is before Cheers for sure.
Okay, so this must be a reissued VHS. Good news, Nation. It's in color, and it is rated PG.
Yep.
And like you said, hour 53. Great movie. I think we should go right in. Let's listen to that sweet, sweet trailer, and let's put this movie on trial.
All right, let's do it. Great. All right, let's clap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. All right. You want to say all rise?
All rise.
Hey, how's it going over there? This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely the best Star Trek movie for sure. Perfect sequel. Can't wait to hear you guys talk about it.
Okay, that's interesting because I have a more favorite Star Trek movie than this.
Wow. Okay, don't spoil too much of that because we should do a ranking.
Ooh, okay.
We should do a Star Trek ranking episode. We
Okay.
should do that this summer when we do docent stuff. We should do a Star Trek summer.
Okay, I love it. Okay, here we are in the trial. And here I mentioned this a little bit before, but here's how it works. We pick a movie that we love, we talk through it, we act as its defense counsel, we present evidence, 2 or 3 exhibits apiece. We chunk in. I don't have the sound ready, but by the time I'm done with this, I will. Then we attempt to prove to you, listener, and one another that the movie is perfect. When we're done with that, listeners act as judge, jury, and possibly executioner because I get 1 full vote. Anthony gets another full vote, and you all get a 3rd full vote. Because if you all vote 75% yes or more, that's a yay. Then we send that movie to a space-born villain in an attempt to save the world. And in this case, it's Khan. Khan. So we're gonna take turns presenting evidence. I don't have my sound ready yet, so do you want to go first?
Sure, man. Also, I think another big cultural touchstone for this is that they did it on Seinfeld a number of times.
They parodied it, you mean?
Yep, they parodied it. They talk about how this is the best of the Star Trek movies. It's a theme in a couple episodes.
Okay.
But both George and Jerry yell at the camera that's above the table. Khan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And that's important to us because we like it when things are mocked by Seinfeld.
Yeah. But that also might be why you said it that way.
It could be. I completely agree. It also happened in The Simpsons several times, I know.
I bet they did, yeah.
So it just becomes something that it's not. Then when you get down to the pure original Patient Zero Khan yell, it's better than all of those parodies combined.
Agreed.
His face, where he's like, he's kind of like screwing up his face. Captain Kirky's so mad at Khan.
He is.
You can't help but yell.
For 1 minute, he thinks he's got him. Actually, that happens twice, where he thinks Khan actually won.
Lots of double crosses in this movie.
Yep.
It's so great. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so see, here's the thing. I'm going to chunk in, but I'm wondering if we have the same evidence.
I love it when we have the same evidence.
Okay. Here we go.
Yep.
Perfect sequel, dude.
Okay.
I know that we have an uphill battle with this one. I will be surprised if our Gomertrons for the next year actually watch this. I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, I'm curious. Like, I think it's an easy sell to get somebody to go watch, I don't know, Interstellar. Well, actually, that was a deeper cut.
I think people should watch this movie. And what is it on Peacock right now?
It's actually HBO Max, but maybe it's
it's HBO Max. Also. HBO Max, not HBO Max for long, right? Did you hear this announcement? Max.
No.
They're changing it to Max.
Huh.
And oh boy, lots of announcements about what's going to be on Max, including, and you alluded to this, I think, before, this new Harry Potter series, where they're rebooting, just like I said they would, from the beginning.
Yep.
Who knows?
Whole new cast.
Who knows? But that's very interesting. Anyways, Max, HBO Max currently, but Max in the future, you can find Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
People should watch it.
Oh, yeah. Seriously, go and watch this one. Like, maybe, I guess another evidence, and I'm not sure if you're going to share this one, would be that it's actually a good movie.
I'm trying. I do have some more specific things to say about that,
Yeah.
but it was hard for me to come up with specific things in this one because it's kind of hard for me to explain why you're locked in right away and it never lets you go. It's that kind of movie where you just it's just a good. I don't think that's allowed as a piece of evidence, but it is a good movie.
It's a good movie. Like Erin wasn't gonna watch it with me,
Uh-huh.
and I was just watching it as she just got back from her London trip and she's like unpacking
Yep.
and she got sucked in. And she was like,
The
"We haven't watched
the
this."
same thing happened with Jessica. She came in
Okay.
20 minutes in,
Uh-huh.
sat down on the couch, holding something that she was going to put away,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
put it down on the coffee table, and watched the rest of the movie with me. That's how good it is.
Wow. Okay. Yep, she was same thing like, and she said it's been so long since we've watched this and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like that's I'm trying to pitch to people that haven't watched this,
Uh-huh.
go and watch it. Maybe even pause this episode
Right
and
now.
actually, I mean, who's listening to this that hasn't watched? I bet people just skip this episode,
No,
honestly.
no, I think you're giving this movie too little credit. I
Okay.
think there have been I think that this is among these like this run, right? Star Trek 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
5, 6,
Mhm.
the most watched. Maybe 4 because that one is kind of the gateway for some people to like when you're like you'd like 4 cuz there's whales and time travel.
Yes, 4 is accessible.
That's it.
Like I can see me because it takes place in America,
It's got
right?
that fish out of water thing that
Uh-huh.
people love.
Mm,
What would happen if
totally.
Spock didn't understand when somebody said a swear word?
Yeah. I've been noticing you use more colorful metaphors here. Um, totally. Like, or just the crew walking around San Francisco, like amazing.
But this one is
Um,
like the most widely accepted, I think, as just a killer movie.
yeah. So that's what I mean.
Yep.
Now I feel bad not using that as evidence because we're in perfect sequel
But
for the
I think
evidence
it's
right
a
now.
uniquely perfect sequel too.
Yes. Okay. So let's do real quick.
Uh-huh.
Before this was Empire Strikes Back. Before this was Aliens. Yeah. No, no, no. Aliens is
Not
after this.
Aliens yet. Yep, Alien.
Um, and nope. Terminator 2 is after this.
Mm-hmm. This is still maybe this is why it's
It-
so kind of special is because this is in a very unique time of sequels, which is sequel was always considered as less than or worse than its
yes.
predecessor. And so like
Yep.
you get like Cannonball Run 2, who gives a rip?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's seeing that compared to Cannonball Run. And so maybe that's why maybe that's why the budget is lower.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Temple of Doom is after this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mad Max.
Yeah, maybe Mad Max 2 is before this. I can't remember when it is. But that's another good the Mad Maxes are another good example of like Mad Max didn't really connect. And
Right.
then Mad Max
Right.
2 is what people remember when they think about
Exactly.
Mad Max.
Okay, that's a great example also. So this does the same thing that Mad Max 2 does. Like
Mm-hmm.
actually going back and watching Mad Max the original, I mean, it's amazing, but it's like Terminator 1, 2 is like
Yeah, like
incredible, but it's so low budget.
you're almost confused when you watch it. Like
Yeah.
this is what spawned that is pretty
Yeah.
confusing. Yeah.
Yes. So sequels weren't super highly regarded.
Mm-hmm.
They were less than. I mean, what are you gonna have? E.T. 2, Goonies 2,
Well, I think
you
they
know?
are going to have Goonies too, unfortunately. But uh, yeah, that's another thing about that list of movies you read. Like, there never was a Tootsie 2. There never was
Nope.
an E.T. 2, and that was a
That
juggernaut.
yes. Well, and what wasn't there talk about ET2 and what's his name like Zarlak or something like that?
Zrek, Zrek.
Zrek, right? I mean, from this you've got reboots. You've got Tron Legacy way later. You don't get
Yep.
Chariots of Fire 2. He
No.
runs on the Sabbath. Uh,
Sabbath run.
Chariots of Fire 2 deconstruction phase. Just kidding. No, he was so devout. I'm just kidding. Blade Runner, you get a reboot of that.
Again, way later.
Rocky 3, we've got Rocky 3 in this list.
And that's the best Rocky? Is it Rocky 3 the best Rocky?
Is it?
I mean,
last
Rocky
time-
1 is obviously the best Rocky, and
Yeah.
Rocky 2, but Rocky 3, I think, might also be like a very accessible Rocky because Mr. T's in it.
Ah, okay. More pop, like people would get it.
More fun. Rocky 3
More-
is probably more fun than the other two
I gotta
were.
admit, I haven't watched Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5 since college.
Okay, before each Creed comes out, we rewatch them all,
Wow.
and
Okay.
they are, every one of them is good to great. Besides Rocky 5 is not good.
Okay. Maybe we'll skip that one. But I mean, I cannot wait to do Rocky for Perfect Movie.
I think we're doing it this Christmas. We're doing Raiders this summer. I mean,
I know.
we're doing these.
This is
Woo.
great.
Yep.
So back to Perfect Sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: Star Trek, the motion picture.
Yep.
All like if Star Trek 2 hadn't been made, Star Trek
Mhm.
would be over. Okay.
I agree.
There would be no Star Trek: The Next Generation. There would be no
Uh-huh.
J.J. Abrams Star Trek. There would be no Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Discovery, Picard. I mean, there would be no Picard. There'd be no Troy and Riker and Data.
You're talking about those
Like-
characters wouldn't even
Yeah,
exist. Not even to the
none-
shows, but like these kind of like cultural touchstones.
Yeah. Like
Jean-Luc Picard.
Would Xavier exist in X-Men? Like, what would Picard's career be
Oh,
like
yeah,
if Star Trek
I see
2
what you
hadn't
mean.
been amazing? Like, would he be just not just, but would he be a Shakespearean actor?
Still,
Like, is that
still just doing the Bard, right? Like,
yeah.
just- he never. That was just a huge. Man, I love him.
Yeah, me too.
I just watched because it was Passover. We watched no, I can't. Oh, Prince of Egypt, and he plays Pharaoh, Patrick Stewart, with this weight
Oh,
that is incredible. He's so good.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
I love he is one of those dudes that would be really cool to meet.
Yeah.
So
Cool dude.
Oh, cool dude. So like if like that's part of what a great sequel is it's like what I mean by perfect sequel is it's better than the original
Mm-hmm.
and it launches an empire. Like it's not an Empire Star Wars level.
But we did talk about this in Empire Strikes Back, that Star Wars was a movie, and
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back made it it changed the culture. It solidified itself in the industry and in the world. And the
What
first
did we
movie
say?
didn't necessarily do that.
We had a word like it made a legacy or it made a
Yeah.
it launched an empire. I don't know. That's not
Yeah.
the right. We said there was a good line, I think.
Mhm.
And I can't remember. But you're right, like Empire Strikes Back took it from being just a movie to like everything, everywhere.
Like this is now you can build a universe on it.
Yep. So that's what Star Trek 2 as a perfect sequel did. It launched
Mhm.
everything after it. It saved the franchise. I mean, before Star Trek 2, all you-
created. It like made it. It not only saved
Okay.
it, I think it wasn't one until then.
Okay,
It was just
there you
kind of
go.
like
So-
a quirky little show. And I
well,
think it was
bigger than that. Like
oh, okay.
the original series was like, I mean, so many like scientists and astronauts and explorers like credit Star Trek
Yeah.
as like why they went into it. Like my dad and my uncle, like they watched it. Like
Okay. While it
I
aired,
think, yeah, like I think it was like a big deal. Like even though it was sort of cheesy and stuff.
yeah. Yep.
I mean, I heard one story that like Nichelle Nichols didn't want to play Uhura anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and she was literally, dang it, she was contacted by Martin Luther King Jr. Like, you have to keep doing
No
this.
way.
I don't know if that was a true story or not.
I wouldn't. I
It
don't
was like
doubt it because
there's a
that's
black
another.
woman
Right.
on the bridge in charge of a lot of stuff on network television in prime
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? Like the first, you know, kiss between a black or a white man and a black woman
Mm-hmm.
on screen is on
Right.
Star Trek,
Yeah.
right? Like
So
I think it was a
when you say
big
like
deal.
scientists look back and say, yes, Star Trek was really influential to me. I've also heard
Yeah.
probably an equal amount of actors of color, directors, just like black women that I've met that are like
Mm.
that was big for me. Um,
Yeah.
Same for Asian men, right? Like
Yeah.
we never saw that before. I guess my question is because maybe it's out of the fact that it was only 3 seasons. Like, was it big when it aired, or is it the kind of thing where it was like syndication was king,
Sure. That's a
and
good point.
so
Yeah.
that got the movie funded or something? I wish I had done more research about that, but I'm curious about in the airing 67 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
was it big, or was it like the I guess maybe this question comes out of did Star Trek 2 help people discover or rediscover the TV show?
Sure.
Which would also
Like, did
be in
more
evidence
people?
if that was actually true, which I don't know if it is.
I think it's a good chance. Like, probably more people watched Star Trek 2 than watched the original series on
Mm-hmm.
television.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to imagine if there were like how many people, 10 or 20 people, that the
Mm-hmm.
reveal of Khan was actually like mind blowing. You know, or is it 100,000? I don't know. Like, how many people, like, when Wrath of Khan was posted?
Knew
I
what
don't know.
that
See,
meant.
yeah, see, we are now like such like there's the reveal. If
Mm-hmm.
this had happened now, they wouldn't have said Rathacon.
They
You know,
wouldn't have put that in the title, you mean? That would have been a
yeah,
surprise. Okay.
yeah.
Yep. I see what you mean. There is that reveal in this movie, right? When he comes out of that dust
Oh
and
yeah.
Chekhov, who just I think that scene is incredible when he's like,
Hmm.
Kirk is yelling, Khan.
Yeah.
Chekhov goes, Khan. He like hardly
Yeah.
gets it out. He's so shocked to
It's
see this guy.
like when he's like, Botany Bay, we've got to get out of here. Yeah.
He's so good in that sequence.
Yep.
Good job,
He's
Chekhov.
now I heard that one of those mental floss things or
Mm-hmm.
screen rant. I guess they actually never met, Khan and Chekhov
Oh, really?
on the TV show. So like they were like he's like he knows like I never forget a face.
Oh
But
no.
I'm not sure
Oops.
that that's corroborated.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, dude, but the show, you've got a multicultural cast.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a Russian dude in the
Listen,
60s.
a Russian dude in the 60s?
I don't know. Wasn't that probably a big deal?
A huge deal. I mean,
Right?
it's the I mean, this is a bad analogy, but like a Klingon on the ship in Next
Yep.
Generation, which
Yeah.
I do know that at least I know that
Oh
now they
yeah.
have a Klingon crew member, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Worf.
What
Lieutenant Worf.
like people Star Trekkies, I think, were shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
Putting a Russian on
Yep.
the original show was probably was supposed to create that kind of be as enticing or engaging to the world as putting
Sure.
a Klingon on the ship.
Well, and you've got an alien,
Mm-hmm.
Spock.
Right?
Like you've got Kirk, who's so passionate and emotional and
Mm-hmm.
driven by his like ego.
Yeah.
And then you've got Spock, who is like, remember, I don't have an ego to bruise. You know, like, so you've got the
Love it.
logic and the emotion. Like, I just think the crew, like, even looking at the one sheet, they all have one name: Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty,
Mm-hmm.
Chekhov, Sulu, Uhura,
Mm-hmm.
Khan, Savick. You know, like,
You don't need any more.
it's just it's like it's iconic, you know what I mean?
And those
So
names all rule too.
every one of those names is I mean, it's different, but it's kind of like how John Grisham, like all his
Yep.
names are just stinking amazing.
Yep.
Every one of those names is great.
Right. You don't have anybody named like Bleep Blop.
Yeah. Or like 7 of 9 now. Like,
Right. I think Star Wars is more the Bleep Blop, right?
Yep.
Like we're gonna get some weird. This is just like a little twist to
yeah.
current day names or names in the 60s and what they might sound like in the 23rd century.
Yes.
It's good.
Also, would people have 300 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
or 200 to 300 years, are people going to have accents still? Like, is there still going to be a national identity?
Oh,
You know what I
I
mean? Like,
like that they do.
I love that they do, but do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the way globalization has worked, like, how are we going to maintain?
Yeah.
I'm like I kind of identify in the Italian as
Right.
as
Yep.
I'm a quarter of that, but I don't
Mhm.
sound like it.
Right.
My
So
girls
will
are
the
going to carry a little bit of that.
global melting pot become such that we all speak the same language? Basic.
Yeah,
Right? Isn't
right.
that the language?
Basic.
I think it's in Star Trek the language is. Oh no, I'm thinking of Star Wars. Sorry,
Don't.
everybody.
No problem.
The common language which we hear as English in Star Wars is called Basic.
Oh,
But I think it's English. Of course, it's English in Star Trek because they're from Earth, and
oh, right.
most of them live in San Francisco or whatever.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, so and do like all like would Scotty just have to play the bagpipes? Like
Which
Evan,
does he in this movie? There are bagpipes playing during Spock's funeral.
I think it's Scotty.
He
don't know.
just brought some on the ship.
Yeah, like he just keeps them just for in case.
In case somebody dies and they have to launch them out as a missile. He's got his bagpipes at the ready.
Right. Now, one of the differences though between Star Trek and Star Wars, this is taking off on something you said like a minute ago before we got into the globalization melting pot, is Star Trek is based in reality. You know what I mean? So like I heard this production designer, he said when we were designing Star Trek 2, Partner to the Wrath of Khan, perfect sequel, which is what we're still talking about, is it wasn't magic. There's no magic.
No, it's all science.
Yep.
And that does set Star Trek apart. Even though it's dirty, Star Trek is like grungy and real, right? But there are wizards in it.
In Star Trek?
No, in Star Wars. Sorry, did I say it wrong? Sorry. Star Wars is, you know how everybody's like, oh, Star Wars is so gritty and real and it's dirty.
Right.
It was until the prequels, but like,
right.
I get your point. The differentiation is that there are wizards and you can make things fly around with your hands in Star Wars, and you can't in Star Trek.
Yes. So Star Trek is grounded in reality, future tech. I'm just like trying to think if there's any like supernatural, kind of stuff in Star. I mean, there definitely is, but it's usually more like mind games, and
I
mean, they do interact with a lot of different cultures.
They do.
There is telepathy, and there are empaths and stuff like that. But it's not. There's not Jedis. There's not a thing like that. So it's just the future. We're just watching the future, basically.
Yep.
Is what I'm trying.
And some alien races that we have encountered have mind control. But I would say there's probably even scientific reasons for that. If you dig down and you're like really concerned about like, is that magic? There's probably answers to that it's not.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like even emotions are grounded in the scientific method on some level.
Right. Yep.
And like that's the whole point. Like the whole culture, like the Vulcans have purged their minds of all emotion.
Right. Even though they do get sad because Mr. Savick did cry.
How do you feel?
How do you feel? When Savick was crying, I said, "How do you feel?" And I
Well,
got a laugh
actually,
from the
she's
room.
nice. She's half Romulan.
Oh, she is?
So I believe she's half Romulan, half Vulcan.
Okay.
And so I think they're a little bit more emotional.
And
Like,
Spock is half human, right?
yes, his mother was human,
Right.
which was not very logical for his dad. Savick? No,
Sarek?
Sarek. There you go.
That's that's a
Nice
Jedi
work.
Jeddah situation.
Yeah, nice
Like if
work.
there are other words you could use, you guys.
True, but
Jeddah.
Sarek, that rules.
Yeah. Um while we're on sequel, I
Yep.
think one of my evidences has to do with that, so I'm going to chunk in. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay. This movie is funny.
Mm.
And if I remember Star Trek the motion picture, I don't remember cracking a single smile. I didn't giggle. There was not a giggle.
Nope.
But there's
Nope.
that something shifts, a huge, massive shift, I would say, into Star Trek 2, where these people
Yes.
have personalities and they're funny.
Yes. Okay, here, I got a quote for you.
Let's
So
do it.
Nicholas Meyer, the director
Mhm.
of this movie, okay?
Yeah.
He is not a Star Trek guy at all.
Good.
He'd never
Maybe that's why.
See, I think that's part of why this is an amazing movie. He
Yeah.
had never seen the show.
Wow.
He had never seen the movie. They
Mhm.
screened the first movie for him, and what he said is it has absence of story and an absence of human interaction. It
There we
relied
go.
too heavily on the effects and that any humanity is missing.
Right.
So you're playing off exactly what he was going for, dude.
Okay, and so I think what I notice initially is that they're cracking jokes, or at least they're saying they have a rapport with one another that often is humorous. But I think probably the root of it is more of what you're saying, that are actually having human interactions with one another.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
also not only humor, they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. McCoy says, I'm your shipmate, I'm your doctor, and I'm your friend, or something like that, right?
Yes. Yep.
There's that whole scene is like really nothing you would see in the motion picture.
Yeah. Okay, so you start with kind of like a fake out, this scene where the bridge blows up.
Yep.
And then they all do a hilarious death scene. Like, yeah, like
So funny.
right away. Yeah, he's like, "How did you like my performance?" Was that Bones maybe? Where he's like, and then they go to the birthday party.
Love a birthday party.
Yep, love a birthday party. You get a little bit of that Romulan ale, which I don't know if that's in the original series, but they just launched that into being like this secret drink.
Right. It is the blue milk of the Star Trek
A-
universe.
Absolutely. I found a recipe for it. I think it's Food Network. It's like blue curacao and like vodka and then lemonade or like Sprite or something.
Right, because
You
it's
can make
also
it at home.
blue. Speaking of blue
Yeah.
milk, it's this kind of translucent blue alcoholic drink that
Yep.
Kirk doesn't like. It's so strong or something, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, when he drinks it. That's
But
funny.
it keeps coming up.
And they're poking fun of his age.
Right.
They're wait, is your evidence that it's funny or that it's human?
That it's funny, but
okay, yeah.
The quote you read is making me think that the actual evidence I have is that it's human.
Okay.
But the interactions make relational sense and have some relational depth and punch. And so even like like you were mentioning, the difference between Kirk and Spock, that dynamic in this movie feels funny sometimes. And not just maybe, oh, curious. One of them is passionate. One of them is scientific or logical.
Yeah.
You don't just understand that, you like it in this movie.
Uh-huh. Yes. And like Spock and McCoy have a killer just
oh my
like
gosh,
angst
so
with each
good.
other. like when he's like, be careful, and he's like,
Yep.
we will. Kirk, be careful, we will.
got a laugh in the room a couple nights ago when we watched it too. It's just like it. I think that I've noticed this ever since I watched these two movies when I was in high school for the first time. Like,
Yep.
I watched my first Star Trek movie was Star Trek 4 in the theater with my dad and Alex.
Yeah. Wow.
And then
Wow.
I went back. I begged my dad, I think, to rent the first three.
Okay.
And the first movie was unrecognizable to me.
Sure. Oh yeah. If you go from 4 to 1,
The characters
yes.
were not the same people.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
the ones that I saw in 4 were the people that I liked.
Yeah.
And so you talked about Terminator 1 and 2 or Mad Max and Mad Max 2. Those are very different movies, but I feel like what they did with the characters between Motion Picture and Star Trek 2 is what saved Star Trek.
Yep. You're absolutely right. They made it human.
Yep.
Although I guess that's human centric. As
And what does she say in
tend to be
the very what does she
name
say?
is racist, right?
Yep.
Human
humanity.
yeah,
Human
he
rights.
says inalienable human rights.
That's right. Whew. That is really good writing, Star Trek 6.
Inalien
Yep.
human. Yeah, I mean, I also love how in the writing of Star Trek they always inject some good literature, dude. So you've got Moby Dick,
right? He
all
quotes
up in this.
Melville, right? Yep.
Yep. They the Klingon. Oh shoot, now I can't remember. In Star Trek 2, this one they do say the Klingon. Oh yeah, the Klingon parable. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Mm-hmm. I love that about Star Trek, even that they'll quote things we don't know. And so they're walking one time. There's one time when Kirk and his son that he doesn't know is his son, or maybe no, it's his son and what's her name? Hubba Hubba, his
Seven?
like old
Carol
fling.
Marcus.
Yeah, Carol Marcus. Carol Marcus and Kirk's secret son.
Yep.
Are walking down and he's listing famous scientists to them. He says Einstein, Newton, and some alien name we don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
There's something special about that moment where it's just not like we're not stuck in the 80s or on Earth.
I love that.
That there's this name of this scientist that I think probably I'm assuming because Star Trek is what it is. We find out who that is at some point. But at this point, I think in Star Trek 2, we don't know who that is.
Yep. It's a Kessel Run situation. Like,
yep.
Ooh, one day we're going to find out what that was. Yeah, you're right. This is confession. I never thought Carol Marcus was like attractive until this viewing.
Wow.
So I don't know if it's age and stage.
I wouldn't have said it, but I think I agree with you.
Does that make sense? I'm sorry if that was offensive or anything.
There's some 80s ingenues, and this is a hot take.
Okay.
I never found Marion Ravenwood attractive from Raiders.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And then we're watching through them to prep for June.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't I ever recognize those freckles before?
She is
like, is
really,
this the
really
most
beautiful
person I've ever seen in my life? But when I was in
after Jessica and Aaron,
of course, and this is it's like the boing was my eyes going like that. Anyways, and I feel that way about Lois Lane and the 70s Superman. I can't remember the actress's name, but Carol Marcus.
Yep.
You go, girl.
She is amazing and brilliant.
I love their dynamic and the secret son. Wow.
Yep.
It's great.
So there's another thing about the human element about this movie is that you're totally hitting, like, is what makes it. it's part of what makes it a good movie. Who
Right.
cares? It's like it's so who cares? It's they're wearing the Star Trek costumes, but it's just a good movie.
You're speaking my language.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
not only a good Star Trek movie.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying. It's not only a good Star Trek movie, which is saying something,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
it is a good movie, and I feel the same way. But I guess I'll just lay all my cards on the table. Star Trek 6 is my favorite,
Okay.
and it is one of my favorite movies, not one of my favorite Star Trek movies.
Yep.
And so I think that's important for listeners to hear that maybe have not watched a Star Trek movie. And so can I just chunk in again?
Sure. Yeah.
And this is vaguer than I usually like to be, but something that impressed me about the movie this watch is that it actually is very heavily plotted.
Mm.
There is a lot of plot. There's a lot going on. It's complex. Like even when I read the back of the box,
Yeah.
that's one long run-on sentence. Aided by his exiled band of genetic supermen, Khan is a brilliant renegade of 20th century Earth. So it's this guy
Yep.
who he is a genetically engineered human who's floating around in space with a army of other genetically engineered people.
Yep.
He's exiled on an island that Kirk kind of accidentally, oh no, that is the Federation, which is also confusing, goes down
Right.
and accidentally finds him. There are bugs that go into the ears. There's this
Ugh.
missile that creates worlds.
Yep.
There's weird relationships and secret children, space stations and murders. And I, from the first time I watched this movie, understood every single thing that was going on.
Hmm.
And it is
Wow. Yeah.
that for that reason, I think a perfect movie.
Dang. That is solid, dude.
I'm never lost. So when you say it out loud like that, it sounds bonkers.
Uh-huh.
And it's structured so perfectly. And whenever you're confused, they explain it to you in a way that's not annoying.
Yep.
And there's Kirstie Alley too, so you're kind of distracted by the fact that Kirstie Alley's in it.
Yep. And like yeah, like I don't know. What I can't remember what movie we were Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay, we were talking about Partner to Red October.
Right, where I got confused.
Yes, I was trying to remember where you were confused the whole time. It was Red October,
Right.
which okay, so it's funny because as I was watching a bunch of the behind the scenes,
Uh-huh.
they thought of this as a submarine movie. They're like, how can we? It's a
Okay.
submarine movie in space.
Which is
How?
weird because I said the opposite about Partner to Hunt for
Ah,
Red October. I said it
you're
reminds me of a
right.
Star Trek episode.
Wow, you're totally right because so they were like, how are continuing to define how they're different between Star Trek and Star Wars, and
Uh-huh.
they're like, we don't have space battles and dogfights.
Right.
If these huge spaceships are gonna fight, it's gonna be more like two submarines, and
Uh,
so like
yeah. I've never thought of that before. There's no small warships in Star
no,
Trek. It's all these massive lumbering
yep, just
submarines.
like because
They
I mean
make the same
without
noises.
Horner's score and
Uh-huh.
the pew pews, it would be sort of dumb. I mean, kind of cool, which is why
Yeah.
for our generation and younger, J.J. Abrams jumped the shark and just went nuts. You know,
Right.
like turned it into action movies.
You're right. And there are smaller ships, if I remember right, in the new Star Trek series, and there's motorcycles and stuff like that. Like, I don't have this as one of my evidence, but man, oh man, does the Enterprise look good in this movie.
Oh,
And the other ship.
absolutely. The Reliance. Okay, so fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
This is uh, they sent the schematics and the drawings of the Reliant off
Mm-hmm.
to Australia, where whoever was writing either Harv Bennett or Nicholas Myers to approve of the art,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and he opened it up. This is a story that is supposedly true. He opened
Uh-huh.
it up, but he opened it up upside down and signed off on it on the bottom. instead of the top, which is why the Reliant, the warp nacelles are below
Oh,
the dish instead of
that is
above.
awesome.
And so they got it back, and they're like, we don't have time to send it back. I guess just go with it. Just make it upside down.
So I guess I also so I think my question about the series is when you watch that Khan episodes of the TV series, was there anything
Mhm.
funny in it? Is one question I have. And the second one
Mm.
about the ship stuff is have we seen other I don't even know what you would call the design of these ships.
Mhm.
Disk, warp cell in
Yeah,
different configurations like the Reliant is because I'm wondering if when you saw
oh,
Star
right.
Trek 2 your mind was blown because of that.
Probably.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure. Because I mean, what the other ships we had were the partner to the
Yeah.
Excelsior class. That thing's stupid. I hate the Excelsior.
Well, I
I
gotta
always hate.
Google this. It's a ship. Why is
I
it
always no. I just always thought it was
Excelsior
dumb.
Star
I
Trek?
thought it looked too fancy, and they also totally diss it in Star Trek Five, the Excelsior class.
When does this Excelsior show up?
Hmm. I should know that. I think it's at the end of Star Trek 4, because Kirk
Oh,
wants a ship back, and they're like,
I
"We
see.
could
I
give
know
you
which one
that
you're talking about.
one."
It's a little it's beefier.
Yeah, it's beefy. It just doesn't look right.
No, it's not very good.
Like
The disc, what would you call that? The Brit not the, what's the disc called?
the disc is the saucer section.
Okay, the saucer is too close to
Yeah, it's like got a
everything.
short neck,
Yeah, the
and
neck. There's no
the,
the
the
neck is not proper on this thing.
it's it's like kind of oval, and the
Uh-huh.
nacelles are weird, and the body's just weird. It's just not the Enterprise.
Okay, and it looks like it shows up for the first time in 3. I'm reading. Um,
Oh, that's right. They go aboard it
yep.
because they need to hijack the.
Hmm.
It's been a while since I watched this, but they had to hijack the Enterprise, right?
Well, there's also speaking of heavy plot, there's also that in Star Trek 2 that Khan hijacks this ship that you're talking about, the Reliant.
Yep.
And then there's this long and I think pretty great space battle
Yeah.
between those two that lasts 45 minutes of the movie.
Uh huh. Yeah, but the way it's cut, the writing, the
Yep.
editing,
Yep.
it's like you're on the edge of your seat, and all you're seeing is like little pew pew lasers, and they shoot the side of the thing, and then you
Hmm.
see a shaky cam and a bunch of people jump around.
Right.
But with the music and everything, it makes it feel like, I don't know, like you're there or something like that. You know what I
I agree. And there's like like those that brass
mean?
trilling and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, and then there's that part where they're kind of in that nebula or whatever where they can't see
Yeah.
each other, so they're chasing
Yeah.
each other blind. And then whoever it is like he's thinking in 2D.
Mm-hmm. That was Spock.
He's he's thinking two-dimensionally. He's smart,
Oh.
but he's not good at
Mm-hmm.
this yet. And he's thinking like we're all on the same plane. And so then they figure out if we can come up from under him. And there's that genius
Yeah.
shot where the Enterprise just rises up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Dude, we're such nerds, but it's so good.
I'm coming back to your initial, it's just a good movie. And so I think that the humanism, but also they just do some killer submarine stuff that's just not present
Totally.
in the first movie.
Yeah, so I watched like a featurette with
Mm-hmm.
the production designer,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how, first of all, the budget's different, the production crew is different. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying to relaunch this thing. They've hired Nicholas Meyer, and so their idea behind it is actually this kind of pivots from being more like they're explorers to like it's a
Mm,
little bit more like they're in the Navy, or like more like the military.
right.
And so like they designed all the costumes and stuff like that kind of based off of, like a uniform,
Got it.
which they had uniforms, but they were more just like t-shirts and jumpsuits or
There
something
are
like
a
that.
lot of different uniforms in this movie. I'm not just saying
Yeah.
from before. I'm saying there are a lot of costume changes. I mean, there is this one part where they're going down to the planet and
Yeah.
Kirk is wearing this. Do you know which outfit I'm talking about? This
Yeah.
collar.
That sweet like collared jacket.
And the rest of
Because
them
the guy
have the
got
collar
blood on his
folded
shirt.
down, and he's got it popped, and it is
Yeah.
up high behind him,
Dude.
and it is a look and so good. And I
Yeah, I
said,
mean,
I want that jacket when it came on.
yes. Well, and like the belt, like they've got the boots and then the
Mhm.
bell bottom like tucked into it.
And
The
the
high
bell bottoms
waist
are a
or
little
high.
bit high.
Yeah, like you could see full boot, but a nut like yeah. Aaron and I commented on the hemline. We were like,
For
that is so
sure.
cool.
So maybe it's just that they're playing with it a little bit more. They're being more playful with kind of where the first movie feels kind of reverent to the TV show. And
Mm-hmm.
this one, they're allowed to play a little bit in that sandbox you were talking about.
Yes.
And they do.
Yeah,
And it's good.
and what they do is they establish the future of Star Trek with this. This would be going
Yep.
back to perfect sequel evidence,
Mhm.
but all of Star Trek after this is more naval. Like they
Mhm.
have insignia, like they have their communicator pin and then their rank insignia everywhere.
Yep.
Like different what are those called? Like the things on your shoulders, not
Yeah. The some tassels,
tassels,
something like that. I know what
coolats.
you mean, though.
No, um, no, those things that like that
Yeah,
would show
the
rank.
way
Like
that a
you've had,
military would be decorated, right?
yeah, like you see an
Yep.
admiral, they've got decorations and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but the production designer was like, fans would write in, "What is this rank?" And he's like, "I would just make it up and like design a thing." So,
Sounds so
but
fun.
but then it became canon. But it's just like
Yep.
this fun guy that likes to make costumes, you know, and
Yeah,
I just think it's amazing
it's
how
so
they did
good.
that.
Yep. I have one more piece of evidence. I don't know if you do.
I
We're
do.
getting to the end. Why don't you
Yep.
chunk in?
Let me jump in here.
Yep.
Okay. Just going with your human element
Mhm.
movie, good movie.
Mhm.
Also, I think it's hilarious that the MacGuffin
Mhm.
in this movie is and like the main weapon is a terraforming device. Brilliant. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, okay, so sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you, but like what you
no
were just
problem.
saying that 2 launches the rest of what the universe is. Also, 2 through 6 are direct sequels to one another.
Yeah.
So everything that happens in this movie, Genesis, Spock's death,
Yep.
then the choices that influence the choices they make in 3, which hugely impact the 4th one, massively impact the 5th one, and the 6th one they're kind of tying up all the things that they did right and wrong in the past 5 movies.
Yes. Yep.
Wow,
You're
it's
absolutely right.
Mhm.
It's 2 through 6. It's a perfect movie series. I mean, 5 is kind of dumb, but I
Yeah.
kind of love it.
Yeah. I've come around to them all, honestly. Of course I like the
know.
even ones most,
I know.
but I've come around to 3 and 5.
Yep. Still amazing.
Mhm.
Like they're still great.
Yep.
Okay, so my evidence here would be perfect death scene.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's good.
So apparently in my little bit of research, almost everybody to a person didn't want to be in this movie.
Hmm.
So Kirk and McCoy thought that the script was stupid, and it was before this.
Okay.
Let's see. Scotty, I guess, had a heart attack or something like that, and like couldn't be in it originally. Like I
Oh,
guess he
wow.
was not super healthy.
You don't see much of him in this movie.
Yeah, you're right.
You hear him playing bagpipes, but that's probably his greatest contribution to this movie. And he
Right.
tells Spock, "Don't go in there. What are you doing?"
Don't do it. And then Spock, as is in Galaxy Quest, is like,
Uh-huh.
I could have been an actor. You know, like,
Yeah.
what's the dude?
Because that's what he's Galaxy Quest is making fun of Leonard Nimoy, right?
Yeah, yep, with
Yeah.
Snape, I can't think of his name right now.
Yep. Hans Gruber.
Everybody knows Hans Gruber. Dude, who's the real guy?
I can never remember. It's one of these blank spots where I know this guy. Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Yep.
So Spock didn't want to be in this. Did you read this at all?
I read that wasn't it part of his agreement that he would get to direct the next one?
No,
if they let him be in this one?
Oh no, okay, I didn't read that.
Okay.
What I read or heard in that like behind the scenes thing was that the only way they were able to get him to agree to do it is if he would die in this
Okay,
movie.
it's another Harrison Ford situation where he's like,
totally,
you gotta kill me.
I'll be in your movie, but I gotta be dead.
I'll be in Force Awakens, but you gotta kill me. Yeah. All right. Finally, we'll kill him. But you're contractually obligated to come back grumpily as a ghost in the fourth one. Not a Force ghost, just some sort of dream person. Okay, fine.
Yeah. And you can Skype in if you need to. Or
right. Whatever you need to do, Harrison. But yeah, I can imagine Leonard Nimoy being like, I'm bigger than this, and so you need to kill me.
Yes. Which leads to the question that we've asked before, but it's like, would you rather be typecast in something amazing or not in anything?
I don't know. I can't answer that because it seems like a lot of actors don't like the fact that they're going to be Spock the rest of their life.
But you get to be Spock.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I that's why maybe we're just too far outside of that biz, but I just can't imagine not wanting to play Spock the rest of your life.
Just like it's the guy that sings for Adam Sandler's Mark Twain Award, Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm just so grateful that you put me in all your movies, even if I have to do the dumbest thing. He's like, I love you and I love being in your movies. I was crying almost. But like, it's like, I would love to just be on set at a movie, or like be one of the Goonies, and then, like Chunk, he's like a lawyer now, right?
Yeah.
You got to be Chunk. Okay. Anyways, they were like, you can please be in the movie, but and he said, but I have to die.
Okay.
And I guess they kept rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it, and he kept like fearing the scene because he was like, it's going to be hard to act it and stuff. But the death scene where it's a full on Iron Giant situation where Spock has to sacrificially die for everybody, and he delivers the line, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one, which is a Vulcan like proverb or whatever.
Right. Yep.
And I have to say, dude, when I watched this the last time, I cried in this movie 2 times, dude.
Okay, time the death.
His death scene is really affecting and really good acting from everybody.
Totally.
Like Kirk, who people lambast him as like an overactor, he is really good in this.
Yep.
And then the second scene, so I don't think I've sat down and watched Khan since having kids.
Yeah.
Is the David scene at the end.
Very good.
It was really good.
They don't have to do any of that stuff. Maybe that's why this movie's so impressive. You don't have to have this prolonged scene between Kirk and McCoy at the beginning, or Kirk and his son at the end, that kind of bookend this action movie.
Yeah, like just think about, he's like, is that why you came here? He's like, no, I came here to say I was wrong about you, Dad. And I'm proud to be your son.
Woo-wee.
Like, tell me what Star Wars movie that death scene or that reconciliation scene, like those, that's so Star Trek, right?
Oh, right. It's because that universe is so lived in.
Yeah.
And they, I mean, Star Wars is too. And of course there's father-son stuff all over the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. There's nothing quite like that.
That scene I actually forgot about. I forgot, and it got me.
Yeah, that's good.
That so perfect death scene, and then the fact that it to play back to your human evidence. Beautiful writing and beautiful humanity there.
Yeah. let me piggyback on that for my last,
Great.
which is that I think, and I think I called you about this to say it. I
Okay.
cannot believe how well the timing works out that we have this movie on a month when we're redoing the podcast to be about aging. Like,
Yes.
what? It was a
Yes.
happy accident, but now that we've changed Overcoming Ronner's Block to Two Gomers podcast and we're chasing healthy aging and we're really excited about that. And then to watch Star Trek 2, which is for the rest of the series, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 about growing old.
Yeah.
And the kind of the initial fight against that to the embrace of it in Generations on Kirk's part um was really like shocking to me. I forgot that these not very old guys, even though they look a little bit old in this movie, they're in their 50s.
Yeah, when you go back to watch the original series, you'll see like they look like kids.
Okay, yeah, I can't
They
wait.
do.
I remember that Scotty in particular looks like a different person.
He totally does. Yeah, for sure. Somehow
Um
Kirk at least through yeah, he keeps up his physique.
okay.
And Spock and McCoy are they're just like bony,
Oh yeah,
just
bones
put,
indeed, but like Spock is even into that second when he comes back in the alternate universe or whatever in the Abrams
mm-hmm,
series.
mm-hmm.
Slender,
Yep, totally.
old,
Also,
and
also
but
quite a doesn't he do nude photography or something like that, Leonard Nimoy?
whoa.
I think he's like a photography artist or something.
Oh, maybe that's why Three Men and a Baby is so randy.
Oh yeah, that's right. He directed that.
This guy's got a
So
randy streak.
he and Bob Saget, those
Because
80s.
he directed 3 and 4, right? He directed Search for Spock and
I
Voyage
think you're
Home.
right. Yeah.
And then he directed Three Men and a Baby, and I think that's the last movie he directed. Or
Oh wow.
maybe I'm wrong about that, but
Okay.
um no, I think he did maybe other ones, but certainly that's the kind of last big movie he directed.
Sure.
Uh so yeah, there's so much conversation in this movie and then throughout the rest of the series, which is again to your point of this movie establishes what Star Trek is going to be for the next 10 or 20 years. It's
Yeah.
about getting old. I haven't watched any Picard, but once we do the Next Generation tour, I'm going to watch Picard because I'm really curious about whether that comes back around. Is it again
Okay.
about getting old?
Sure. Picard does talk about that quite a bit.
Okay.
Uh, it's interesting that both Picard and Kirk made a choice that, like, the Enterprise
Mm-hmm.
essentially and their career is their spouse.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, which
Yes.
is why it's so damaging to Kirk and his like identity that now you've been promoted above captain. Now you're admiral. You're in charge
There's
of
so much of
captains.
that. Like you need to go back down the ladder. That's where
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah. That's where you found life and like what, like who you are.
Why did you take this promotion?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like why did you take this promotion that takes you out of the action? And
Yeah.
it's just something that we have been talking about for
Mm-hmm.
so long.
Yeah.
Is going up the ladder really the what everybody should be aspiring to do?
Right.
Or sometimes you're just like, no, this is where I find life and this is where I want to be. And then
Yeah.
it's the tip of the iceberg in this movie because they just keep pressing in and pressing into that. And
Yeah.
I was just really struck by it and thought, I like a sci-fi movie about something deeper, and I'm getting that in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Midlife crisis movie.
For sure.
Like, like how, like how that it just plays into your whole thing of how good the writing of this movie is.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got midlife crisis. They fleshed all that out. They fleshed the ladder out.
Yep.
A long lost son.
Mm-hmm.
A long lost villain. All
Yep.
the stuff that we talked about, and it's all just in a sci-fi screenplay.
Yep.
And you can follow it easily. A
I-
kid. We were
it's
kids,
shocking.
right?
Yep.
When we got it all.
And I guess I still feel a little bit weird that I can't explain why it works. As a writer, I should be able to tell you why this works so well, but I think it's just, I know there's no magic in Star Trek, but there's magic in that, right? Like, it's just,
Well,
they struck gold. They did it.
and is it that it was based on previously loved characters, that it adds this and a universe that, so you already have an enormous like connection with the audience,
And
before,
maybe
like,
some
you
of
didn't
that
even have
that
to.
heavy lifting was done already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
that's how
now
a
that I'm
TV
thinking
to
about it,
movie can work.
go ahead. Say it again.
No,
Sorry,
I just, maybe that's how a TV to movie can work.
So I was just going to say that it's not only a sequel to Star Trek: The Motion Picture, it's a direct sequel to one of the episodes of the TV show. And so you've got this villain who I can't believe I didn't have as one of my evidences.
How did we not?
Han!
We are idiots. The best villain
of Star Trek.
Just, hold on, just chunk in on that.
Okay, I'm gonna chunk in too.
Like,
this is a double chunk.
I mean, yes, perfect villain. That chest is real.
What?
Yes. Okay, so that when I watched their production thing, they were talking about costume design, and they were like, we saw Khan and his physique, and we were like, we have to like utilize that.
This is the second thing you've said in this episode that has made me dizzy.
Dude, that is not. We've been joking about that being a prosthetic. When I saw that behind the scenes featurette, that is his real.
This is just one of these things that we've said so many times that we just think it's true and we made it up.
Yeah, dude.
Oh no! I mean, this is great news to me because what a chest, what a hunk.
He's a hunk. Classic hair, dude. Like the bangs.
He's got it's not quite a mullet, right? But it's like long gray hair. I mean, his look rules. His
yes
costume is so good. When the makeup job, when he starts kind of deteriorating and blowing up throughout the movie, getting injured.
Yep.
This guy, his accent,
perfect accent, like
perfect villain. And he refuses. He is driven by this grudge he has against Kirk, and it is his demise. It's their only advantage over him, is he is angry. And this smart group of ragtag Federation.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot also one of my favorite tropes, which is old guys just happen to be with some young people on like a tour or like they're just out there. Totally. And then the old people they're the only ones who know how to use the equipment, right?
Yeah.
I can't go on. It's too good.
That happens in another I feel like that happens again in Star Trek. Maybe
it happened several times in Star Trek. And then this movie that is not a good movie, Battleship. Have you ever seen Battleship?
No.
Okay. They use this trope too, which is that these aliens come down and the only weapons that can defeat it are like the old battleships that people tour in Hawaii. And so they have to get these old Navy veterans to drive these battleships and defeat these aliens. The movie is not good until that moment. And it is such a Star Trek piece of beauty that happens in that movie because it works so well in this universe.
That's good.
Love it.
Yeah, if they had to be like that we've talked about that before, but like, why is it that it's always the Enterprise? It's like, was there nobody else that could go to Regular One and check that out? Aren't there thousands of ships? You know, like, weren't there any like Kirk is just doing an inspection. We don't have a full crew, but that happened on the motion picture.
I love it so much.
Same thing on the motion picture. Like Pike, was it Pike or?
That's right.
Decker.
It's Pike in the motion picture. Oh, Decker, right. Okay.
Pike is in the new one.
Right. But
Decker,
I
and I
think
think
he is referenced in the original show and movies. That is not a new
okay,
character. That has always been Kirk's, I don't know, mentor or something.
okay. No, he's not a mentor because he goes there and he's been given the command, and then Kirk like takes it
Oh,
over in the
okay,
motion
okay.
picture.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
big universe. It's hard to keep it all straight.
no, but I think Pike or
Okay.
yeah, I think. Oh, yeah, the dude from Nowhere Man was in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek 2009.
That's what I'm talking about. That Pike.
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of Kirk's dad in that other shot. Remember, because James Kirk is being born when his dad is
That's
commanding that other
Thor.
ship and
Isn't that
dying.
Thor is Kirk's dad in the new movies? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I'm confused now.
I'm pretty sure in the 2009 Star Trek, when his dad dies at the beginning,
Yeah,
that actor is Thor.
James Brolin.
No, not Thanos. Thor.
Oh, yeah. Dude. I think you're right.
Chris, whatever his name is.
What?
Yeah,
Hemsworth?
yeah. Chris Hemsworth
What?
is Kirk's dad in the new series, in the new
Okay,
movies.
that is crazy.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Whoa.
nothing can compare to Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
Guess what, everybody?
Perfect.
It's a
Perfect
perfect movie.
Yes. Vote on it, please.
Yes,
Watch it,
please.
please.
Watch it and vote on it. There's a lot of ways to vote. The
Oh,
best way is to go to Instagram, and our link tree is there. But we'll have Annie put up a put up a poll. I might use my veto if this doesn't get perfect.
I might load Instagram onto my phone to vote.
Both of us have taken Instagram off our phones.
Neither of us can now vote anymore. We don't have
No way,
Instagram.
dude. I'm putting it back on for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
I'm maybe you probably hear my voice. I'm shocked by how much I loved this movie,
Me
and
too.
I knew I loved it.
The death scene and
Mm.
the father-son scene were the things that put me over the edge this viewing.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
And midlife crisis, of course.
For me, it was the complexity of the plot and how ridiculous it sounds when you put it in one paragraph, and yet I understood every single word everyone was saying and every moment.
Yep.
Never
it could
lost.
be in a screenwriting class.
I'm
right?
gonna start one.
Like a Star Trek movie could be in a screenwriting class. That's a
agree.
big deal.
Yes. Okay. Vote. Thank you to our webmaster, Adam, Jason for our graphics, Davis for our music, Annie for our social media. Our next movie, I'm going to say this again. This is the second time I've said this is our next movie. Our next movie is
Okay.
Wayne's World.
Yes. Sweet.
It's a very different movie, but we were talking recently about Saturday Night Live movies. We're wanting to do one of these. Wayne's World, which was, I think, a decade later after this movie, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Big in my middle school years, and I want to talk about it.
Totally. Done.
Okay, great. We'll do Wayne's World, but until then, you gotta watch Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Tell us what you think.
Go watch it. And I forgot to strike. I don't know. Would you strike those stricken for the records? Would you strike those bugs?
No, I think the bugs make it good.
Mm.
They're scary, dude.
They're so scary. My sister wouldn't. I don't know that she's watched it to this day.
Mm.
Like we watched it and she freaked out as a little girl. Yeah, they're scary, dude.
And I think we've talked about this before. The smaller something is, the scarier it is to me.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
big monsters, I could give a rip, but those bugs, and it's not the bugs, dude. It's the babies of the bugs.
Yeah. Ugh. They go in the ear. When it comes out of the ear and they show that like fake ear close up. It's so dumb.
I know, but it's scary.
Like that clear cut to like a plastic ear.
Right. So let me just say to you, Khan, it's not Kirk's fault. It's that planet that blew up, and it's those bugs. It's the bugs that killed your wife, not Kirk.
Totally. Yeah.
Leave Kirk alone. All right.
Yeah.
All right, dude. This is one of those eps where I'm like, how is this going to turn out?
I don't know. But it's still shorter than the movie. We're still under the time of the movie.
All
So
right,
we
let's
gotta
hurry up
end
and
it.
end this. All right,
Okay.
dude. Great app.
Super fun, man.
And happy watching Wayne's World.
Sweet. All right, let's stop that. 1, 2, 3, stop. Okay, awesome. Okay,
right,
I
bye,
gotta whiz
everybody.
and grab a look. Oh, bye,
Okay, I'm
everybody.
going to stop this. Bye, everybody.